My wife said her ex's name while we were making love. My wife and I have been married for 4 years and we have a 2-year-old. We dated on and off for 3 years before getting married. Last night, she says her ex's name while we are being intimate. She gave some weird excuse as to why. She said it's a common name. It is a very common name, and must have heard it recently. I wasn't going to start a big argument with her at that time. It has since gotten me worried about why she did that. For some background, this was a guy she was with for a couple years before I met her. They met in college and were serious for some time. They had broken up when I met her and decided they were better as friends. They were friends for years before they dated. We started dating but he remained in the picture. He was her best friend first and foremost and I grudgingly went along with it for her. Several months pass and I put my foot down saying it's too uncomfortable for me. There was some resistance but she steps back from him. Every time we broke up, she was with him. We finally reconciled and got engaged. He apparently didn't know this and stopped talking to her. She was devastated, which should have been a red flag. We talked about it and she was happy to have chosen me. Now after this has happened, I'm tempted to see if she's gotten back in contact with him again. I know she's checked in on his social media because I saw the searches on the laptop. She doesn't know I know that. I don't think she'd cheat, but this guy was always different for her. Do I just confront her? Do I start going through her phone? Or am I being paranoid? Update. Thank you everyone for your help and advice. I did my investigating before talking to her. I went through his social media first but nothing explicitly saying anything was going on. There were a few mentions of his love in some comments but that could mean anything. I did look at the phone bill and there looks to be calls with him pretty regularly. On to hers. I was able to get on her phone when she was asleep. She must have forgot I knew the code. Nothing in texts and no weird calls. So she deleted them. I did find some apps she tried to keep hidden like Snapchat and Kik. Sure enough, there's their conversations and pictures. I took pictures of all of it on my phone to have as proof. She exploded when we had the conversation and left with our child to her mother's. I contacted a lawyer and am in the process of a divorce and figuring out custody. I'm heartbroken and am more angry than anything else. I'm angry at her but I'm also angry at myself for dismissing so many red flags. Today I messed up by not believing my best friend's self-destruction call for help. Trigger warning, self-destruction attempt and depression. Basically the title, my best friend has been going through a tough time for the past few years. He's depressed and has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He used to be employed but wasn't performing as well as he usually has because of his mental condition and lost his job. I try reaching out to him but he doesn't answer calls and he usually just replies but only through texts. On December 24th, he finally got back to me apologizing for not answering or replying to me lately. He said he's been going through a lot of stuff and that this time he doesn't know if he can handle it anymore. Me and my friend have a close but very sarcastic kind of friendship, so I just brushed it off. Best friend said he was contemplating ending it all and that he wanted to just jump off something. He mentioned a building in our city that was less 10 stories high. I made an insensitive remark telling him, don't be dumb, that building isn't high enough. You'll just end up with broken bones, be in pain and alive. Why not a higher building? This has always been the way we talk to each other for more than 10 years and this isn't the first time we talked about morbid stuff like this. That's how we cope with stuff and we always just laugh it off. We usually just try to one-up each other with wittier remarks regardless of how dark or morbid our discussions are. Instead of me calling to check on him, we just kept on messaging, continuing to be sarcastic to each other or so I thought. Even told him to go to my house and told him that we should just celebrate Christmas together. He declined. His last message to me was, I love you man haha. My last message to him was, hold on and let's look forward to better things by next year. A few hours after my message, I found out my best friend jumped off the building. Based on witness accounts I think he was already in the building when he started texting with me. I wish I had called him instead. Maybe it could have ended differently. It's not a total horrible story because he actually survived. He was rushed to the hospital and is relatively okay condition physically despite the fall. Now, I'm distraught that I didn't do more. Now, knowing what happened to him I can't imagine what he's going through and I don't know what I can say or do when I'm able to talk to him again. I'm so thankful that he's alive, but I know that what he's going through will become 10 or 100 times harder now. Also knowing that at any time he could do it again. This sucks. I made a crappy compliment to my girlfriend and she broke up with me. So I, 20 male, and my girlfriend, 20 female, were lazing around in bed at my place. She had stayed the night and been there the full day. I didn't actually bring her home until 2 a.m. that night. We were discussing our bodies, and she wanted to know if I was a chest or butt guy. I said I was both, and that her butt was S tier and that her chest were B tier. I was trying to say I liked her butt more than her chest. I wasn't really thinking about it much when I said it, and she didn't really respond. We moved on. We went on to talk about how much we liked each other and did things couples do. Fast forward to the next day afternoon, and she suddenly starts being very cold and short over texts. It took until the next day for me to finally get her to tell me why, and it was because of the tier comment. She hadn't thought much about it at the time, but now it was starting to mess her up. For context, she has had large problems with being insecure and self-conscious about her body. I immediately realized how that could be taken as a backhanded compliment, and tried to apologize and tell her how much I loved her body. I am a very touchy and feely person, and tried to use that as evidence of how much I liked it. She said talking about it wasn't helping, and she went silent. For the next 3 days, she barely responded. Responded to my good morning by saying, thanks, when I wished her a good day, and that was about it. Then I get the breakup text, and about how she is now even more insecure than she was before because of that comment. I want to be clear, our relationship was going great before this as far as I am aware. We were still in the honeymoon phase of a new relationship. From what she has told me, we are breaking up because of that comment. I'm aware I put my foot in my mouth. I wish I could turn back time and just say that I liked her butt more. She is allowed to break up with me for whatever reason she wishes, and she decides what is too much for her. How I feel isn't relevant to whether or not it's okay for her to break up with me. Am I crazy for thinking that a bad compliment isn't a reason to break up? Everyone makes mistakes, and I never wanted to hurt her. I was falling in love with her. I just want to understand. I'm going to be better. But am I right in thinking that it has more to do with insecurity than the words I said? I have some pretty bad issues with self-hatred myself, but I try to recognize when intentions are good. Feel free to be harsh. I'm aware that was a jerk thing to say, but is it worth a breakup to you?
Soon everyone will know he's been messing with his stepmother and stepsister. For a little while I've suspected my husband of cheating. I didn't have any justification for thinking or feeling this way, but I couldn't stop having this gut feeling that something was wrong. So I decided to keep a closer eye on him, and I still found nothing. And for a long time I was angry with myself for suspecting him and for invading his privacy. We went to marriage counseling and I apologized for breaking his trust in me, and for a little while all was well. I can't believe I apologized to that lying sack of shite, but that wretched feeling never went away. I tried so hard to get over this feeling that he was deceiving me in some way, and I just couldn't. So I decided it was time to hire a private investigator instead of playing Inspector Gadget myself. Let me tell you, this was the best thing I ever spent money on. Within a month the private investigator was able to confirm my suspicions, but it was a shock to find out that it was his stepsister and his stepmother. Not only that he may be the father of his stepsister's newborn baby, I could have went off on him, but I kept my composure and I kept this information to myself and continued to act as normal as possible. Believe me, that was a very difficult thing to do. I slowly started detaching from him and even moved into our spare bedroom, and we continued to drift apart. I moved out, got a new job and started saving money for our divorce. I got my life in order. Now here we are almost a year later and in the final stages of our divorce, and I've still not told anyone. I've spent the last year preparing for our divorce because I'll be damned to leave this marriage empty-handed. I wanted to handle our financial affairs first because my husband works for his father, and I didn't want to leave him unemployed during our divorce process. This son of a bitch dragged out our divorce and fought me for everything, even things that were mine to begin with, but I kept my calm and I won't say a word until I get everything I deserve. That's when I'll tell his father, and his father is not a man to be messed with. I've been assured the check will clear in 3 days, or less. And it's over for Robert because as soon as that money hits my account, his mother, stepmother, stepsister, brother-in-law and father will receive a beautifully written email with pictures and videos of what he has been up to. His dad will tear him apart. Count your days, Robert.
I made a crappy compliment to my girlfriend and she broke up with me. So I 20 male and my girlfriend 20 female were lazing around in bed at my place. She had stayed the night and been there the full day. I didn't actually bring her home until 2 a.m. that night. We were discussing our bodies, and she wanted to know if I was a butt or chest guy. I said I was both, and that her butt was S tier and that her chest was B tier. I was trying to say I liked her butt more than her chest. I wasn't really thinking about it much when I said it, and she didn't really respond. We moved on. We went on to talk about how much we liked each other and did things couples do. Fast forward to the next day afternoon, and she suddenly starts being very cold and short over texts. It took until the next day for me to finally get her to tell me why, and it was because of the tier comment. She hadn't thought much about it at the time, but now it was starting to mess her up. For context, she has had large problems with being insecure and self-conscious about her body. I immediately realized how that could be taken as a backhanded compliment, and tried to apologize and tell her how much I loved her body. I am a very touchy and feely person, and tried to use that as evidence of how much I liked it. She said talking about it wasn't helping, and she went silent. For the next 3 days, she barely responded to my good morning, thanks when I wished her a good day, and that was about it. Then I get the breakup text, and about how she is now even more insecure than she was before because of that comment. I want to be clear, our relationship was going great before this as far as I am aware. We were still in the honeymoon phase of a new relationship. From what she has told me, we are breaking up because of that comment. I'm aware I put my foot in my mouth. I wish I could turn back time and just say that I liked her butt more. She is allowed to break up with me for whatever reason she wishes, and she decides what is too much for her. How I feel isn't relevant to whether or not it's okay for her to break up with me. Am I crazy for thinking that a bad compliment isn't a reason to break up? Everyone makes mistakes, and I never wanted to hurt her. I was falling in love with her. I just want to understand. Maybe this isn't the best subreddit. I am going to be better, but am I right in thinking that it has more to do with insecurity than the words I said? I have some pretty bad issues with self-hatred myself, but I try to recognize when intentions are good. Feel free to be harsh. I'm aware that was a jerk thing to say, but is it worth a breakup to you? My wife cheated, and I found out in the worst way. I, 26 male, found out my wife of 2 years, 25 female, has been cheating on me our whole relationship. We dated for 3 years before we got married, so we've been together for 5 years. The way I found out has made things even more traumatizing. We both have always had our own computers, but it's not rare for us to use each other's occasionally. So last week, my computer was dying, and I plugged it in and grabbed hers so I could use it on the couch while I watched some background TV. I noticed an external hard drive was attached, which I had never seen before. I didn't know if it was important or not, so before I unplugged it, I checked to see what was on it. It was a bunch of videos, all with titles of guys' names. I clicked on the first one and was immediately shocked. It was my wife giving sloppy top to a guy on our couch. I closed the video after a couple of seconds, but for some stupid reason, I opened it again and watched the whole thing. I ended up watching videos of my wife cheating on me with dozens of different men for the next couple of hours. I don't know why I did it to myself. I didn't watch every video but enough of them to scar me for life. We don't have the most vanilla intimate life, but the stuff in the videos literally made me sick. The two worst were where a guy was giving her a golden shower in our shower, and then she licked his dirt star while he said, "Make sure to kiss your husband with that dirty tongue when he gets home." The second was three guys who were clearly 18 to 19 years old all going at it with my wife while laughing at her and doing stuff I never imagined my wife was capable of. I threw up after that and put the computer down. When my wife came home and saw the computer with the hard drive, she immediately tried to sneak it away, but I told her right away that I saw what was on it. Her reaction was seriously to cry and apologize. She tried claiming she loves me more than anything. I confronted her about the two most horrifying videos, and she claimed she loved and respected me too much to do the stuff she did in the videos with me but needed to feel degraded sometimes. I wanted to get angry when I heard that, but I was honestly too depressed to react. We haven't told anyone yet, and I've just been sleeping on the couch. She still thinks we can save our marriage, but as soon as I get the strength, I'm divorcing her. I don't think I'll ever be able to tell anyone, other than the therapist I'll 100% be needing, about this, so staying anonymous on Reddit to get it off my chest felt like the only option. My best friend died and I've been hooking up with his girlfriend and helping out with their daughter. It feels wrong. Just to give you some background, we're all 24 years old. My best friend died in a motorcycle accident about a month ago, leaving behind a 5-month-old daughter, which made an already painful situation even more heart-wrenching. I've always had a strong connection with both my friend and his girlfriend. In the aftermath of his death, I've been around a lot, helping out with their daughter, supporting her emotionally, and doing anything I could to make their lives a little easier. As a result of all this, my friend's girlfriend and I have grown really close since his death. It started off innocently enough with just phone calls, being there to listen to her, offering a shoulder to cry on. But as time went on, she started asking if we could hang out more. One evening, when things were getting particularly emotional and heavy, she kissed me while we were preparing to cook dinner. She immediately backed away, regret in her eyes, and said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that." Without thinking, I pulled her back closer to me and kissed her again. As we pulled apart, she whispered, "It's been a while," to which I replied, "For both of us." That night we hooked up. The next morning, we sat down to talk about what had happened. She told me that she really trusted me and felt safe with me around. She also confessed that she hadn't expected me to be as present and supportive as I had been, but she was grateful and wanted to explore where this was going. I agreed, but I emphasized that we needed to communicate more than ever because our decisions would affect not only us but also her daughter. So far, things have been going well. The baby is thriving, and even though she can be quite the handful at times, as any newborn is, I do really love her. I've been there for all of the appointments, and I've barely spent any time at my own place recently, which I don't mind. But it's safe to say my life has changed dramatically over the past few months. The thing is, I'm still not sure if what I'm doing is right. It's been messing with my head. I don't know if it's a bro code thing, but I can't help but feel like I didn't think this through properly. It was a big step for me to take, and while I like where things are going, I can't help but feel conflicted about my loyalty to my friend. If he were still here, I wouldn't be in this situation right now, and I don't know if what I'm doing is right, wrong, noble, or just plain crappy. Thanks for reading.
My boyfriend asked his ex to make a workout plan for me that would make me look like her. I, 20 female, and my boyfriend Alex, 22 male, met 3 years ago but started dating 10 months ago. When I first met Alex 3 years ago, we were both in separate relationships. At the time, he was dating Elle, 22 female. Alex and I had a mutual friend back then, and would often meet in a group setting with our partners and a few more couples. We both got out of our own relationships at the same time a year ago and then hit it off. Elle works out a lot, and Alex and her would often go to the gym together back when they dated. She has a slim thick body type with a flat stomach, bigger thighs and butt, and slim arms. She is very pretty and it's hard not to be jealous. Her figure almost looks like a real-life Elastigirl. I, on the other hand, am slim and thin. I'm just tall, skinny, and flat. I don't mind the way I look. Alex never seemed to dislike the way I looked either, he always complimented the little I had. He had asked one time before if I wanted to get a gym membership and work out with him but I said no, and he never asked again. Yesterday, Elle reached out to me through Instagram and asked if I had talked to Alex about wanting to start working out. I said no because I hadn't. I was a bit confused and asked why she was asking. She then proceeded to send me multiple screenshots of conversations with Alex. He had asked her to put together a workout plan and meal plan that would make my body look like hers. He told Elle that it was my idea and that I had asked him to ask Elle. I never did. He was also very strict with making sure that she sent the plan to him and not me. Elle thought this was a little suspicious and decided to ask me before she made the plan. I haven't told him that I know about it and I genuinely don't know where to go from here. I feel so insecure and ashamed of the way I look now. Elle has been an absolute saint through this and has really tried to make me feel pretty, although it doesn't work. Alex is apparently not happy with the way I look. Not only does he want me to change, but he wants me to look like his ex. I love this guy so much and he's been absolutely perfect until now. Am I overreacting?